Happy Friday, and welcome back to the Crow's Nest. I'm your host, Tyler Holmes, and this is Two Crows. While we were going over the Patreons on Monday, I told you that I would tell you the story about the name of one of the tiers, Milf Potato. I happen to have her napping right here next to me to help me tell her little story. Now, as most pet stories go, it starts with a different pet, and her name was Mother Russia. Now, I wasn't looking for another cat, but Mother Russia just kind of fell into my lap. I was in another state meeting with my son, who at the time was in a mental health facility, and my ex-mother-in-law, who was my ex-mother-in-law at the time, and we get along better now that I'm not married to her son, by the way. And I decided to give my son and his grandma a little bit of alone time so they could hang out, and I went for a little drive, and I saw a sign for a cat adoption party. I think it was actually a party. Looking is innocent, right? It's what you should do. You should go and pet the little floofs. I noticed one cat in its own little area. A lot of the other ones were kittens, but this one was a cat. So I asked them what was up with the lonely cat, and they said, well, she's really sweet. You want to hold her? Before ever telling me any of her story. Yes, I want to hold her. And she lets me hold her for like 40 minutes in the store. Like perfectly fine, very sweet, just very kind. And I asked her again, like, okay, what's her story? And they said, well, she's been returned to us. A lady in her 80s adopted her as a kitten from them. And when she was about, they said like 6 months old, she brought her back and said, this cat is feral. And they were like, kittens can't be feral, first of all. And she was born with us. She's not feral. What is going on? And she's like, well, she's blind and she's deaf and she's feral. And she just runs around all night, running into things, and like just will not sleep at night. And they were like, well, she's a kitten, and okay, we will take her back if you don't feel like you can have her. And so they took her back, and then no one wanted to adopt her because she wasn't a little kitten anymore. She was 6 months, and she had been returned, and they have to let you know when a cat has been returned. My little heart broke for this precious queen. And so I adopted her, and this was in 2017. She got along super well with my other cat. She got along with Frankie, the dog, and they were little bestie westies, you know, as my 14-year-old would say, and I cannot believe I just used his lingo. Well, fast forward to 2023, and I'm living in my school bus like more than half the time in Colorado and traveling around for work. And I had my 2 cats, Fiona and Mother Russia, and my dog Frankie in the bus with us. And Mother Russia does not like to stay inside. And the bus doors in the front do not latch all the way closed if no one is inside to actually latch the bus door closed. That's been fixed now. But she would get out all the time. And I am 99% sure that the apartment complex that we were parked right by, because there was like free parking that we could use right by this apartment complex by a park that the kids could play at. Whatever, they're teenagers, but I'm going to make them play anyway. Well, one day she went missing, and did not find her. I posted everywhere. And for 2 months, I heard nothing from anyone in regards to my cat. Then in the middle of the night, I get a message from somebody saying, hey, I think I found your cat. It looks just like her. She's pretty thin right now, so that makes sense with her being missing for 2 months. And it was pretty close to where she got out, and I had stayed in that area to try to find her. And I went over to get this cat that this person said was probably mine, sent a bunch of pictures. And I'm there in the middle of the night, and I'm like, oh my God. In my mind, I knew that it wasn't her. But in my heart, I wanted it to be her so bad. So I'm like, well, maybe in the morning she'll act more normal, because right now it's not acting like Mother Russia. So in the morning, the kids wake up and they're like, who is this cat? Like, they knew right away that it was not Mother Russia. And they're like, what the heck is this thing? It's very sweet, very kind, but has a lot more energy than Mother Russia. Very playful. Probably about 2 years old, I would say. So younger than Mother Russia, but has been fixed. I posted her everywhere trying to find her owner. She's not chipped, but she's been fixed. So I'm not sure if she was a feral cat that was a catch and release, but she doesn't have the little nick in her ear. But yeah, it was like, this isn't my cat, but I wanted it to be my cat so bad. She definitely was underweight, had not been eating right, was dehydrated, like didn't even want to drink water at first, but I got her healthy. She's gained a lot of weight and she's doing great now. But I needed to name her, but I didn't want to name her something that I would get attached to because I'm like, I can't keep this cat. It's not my cat. If Mother Russia comes home, I'm not going to have 3 cats in this RV, and I don't know what to do. But she did get along with my other cat and my dog, so right away. So I think she's been around other animals. So the kids kept asking me, like, what the heck are we going to name her? And they kept coming up with silly names that I'm like, no, I'm going to get too attached if that's the name. And so finally I was like, fine, her name's Milf. And it's the first thing that came to my head. So we just started all calling her Milf. Kids have no idea what that means. I don't think. I hope not. But I told them it stood for meow, I like food. Well, fast forward a couple of weeks, and Milf isn't very used to being indoors. Milf has been outside a lot, and again, another cat that likes to get out of those bus doors in the front. Well, she got out, and a couple days later, I'm like, what? Like, we couldn't find her anywhere. We kept looking for her, put tuna out, put kitty litter out, couldn't find her. And so I'm looking on that same website that I had posted my cat on, and I found her because I'd put this really recognizable collar on her that wasn't a tearaway collar, and just in case she did get out, and so that I could find her. And I knew right away it was her, and they were like talking to me, asking me what her name was, and I'm like, shoot, I can't tell them her name is Milf. I'm like, her name's Potato. First word that came to my mind again. And so now she's been Milf Potato ever since, and she's adorable, and I keep saying that I'm going to find her a forever home, but I think she's already found it because I don't think I could get rid of Milf Potato. I mean, once an animal is in your heart, I don't know how you find it another home. It'd be one thing if it was somebody close by that I could see her all the time because she's so sweet. She climbs up on my lap and naps with me every day. She knows when I'm not feeling good. She is way more attentive to me than Fiona, my cat I've had for, almost 11 years now. And I will post pictures of Milf Potato and Fiona as well as Frankie on Instagram today. But you have to tell me. I have to keep her, right? I have to keep Milf Potato. It's been I got her, I want to say 4 months ago I picked her up, and she's been with me ever since. And I just can't get rid of her. So now it's one of the tiers of my Patreon. Lovely Milf Potato. And guys, she steals my popcorn. Like if I'm eating popcorn, she comes over and she'll just take a whole piece and just run away with it, you know. So there's the story of the Milf Potato. So my Friday stories will be pretty short. They'll be just little check-ins or continuations of what I talked about on Monday. And my podcast will be Monday, mainly just myself talking with a whole outline story, which will be between like 30 minutes and an hour. My Wednesdays, once those come up, will be me and a co-host. And those typically are longer because we like to talk and we keep each other seeing butterflies all over the place. But the butterflies make sense. They're little shiny, beautiful butterflies. That co-host is currently moving, and so I will be starting that as soon as she's into her new place, which she can talk about on that podcast and let you guys know all the exciting things about her. But yeah, she has her own podcast called On the Nose, and her name is Lee, and she is a clown, which is so exciting. But she has a very soothing voice as well. And like I said on the previous podcast, that she is kind of my twin flame, if you will. We are similar enough that we understand each other and different enough that it never gets boring or old. We have different comfort things and different needs, and we understand and know how to address those. We're both super neurospicy, and we understand that each other has triggers, and we have our space that we need to take, and we understand when the other person is correcting us that it's not a diss at us, that it's a actual correction, and we both know how to accept those, which is really, really refreshing. But she'll be on there just to ask the questions that you guys are probably thinking while I'm talking, and she will have no idea about the stories that I'm telling beforehand. She will be even more in the dark than you are because you'll at least have the title and description. She will not know what the story is until I'm telling it. So her reactions and questions and inquiries and tangents will all be on the spot as they are as I'm telling the stories. Now, these stories are going to be about frightening women. So that segment's called Frightening Frauen. And it is all going to be people that we don't normally talk about, the women behind the scenes, people in our actual lives. Heck, people in your life, people you want to write in about and tell me about that you want that story told. And I want to read those. I want to be able to tell those stories, and I want to be able to express that for you. I even have a couple of guests lined up that will be on the podcast with me. I don't know if Lee will be on these weeks, but I will have a guest speaking with us or me about their story, because these ones in particular I feel like needed their input, and they were willing to be here and tell their stories, and one has never been told before in full. It's my hero. It's someone I'm super proud of, and I was shocked when she said yes. So buckle up, get excited, and we're going to learn about people and not feel as alone in this world. Thank you for joining me, and thank you for being there. If you want to subscribe to my Patreon, it's patreon.com/Tyler Holmes, TYLARHOLMES, and I have tiers starting at $3 a month, and that tier even all the way up to my $20 a month tier. All of them get my podcasts early. My Friday ones post a little bit early, but my Monday and Wednesday ones will post a few days early on there, and they will be ad-free. So if you're listening to this on a podcast site and you have ads and you hate that, these will have no ads. You'll have them early, both video and audio for every tier, video for the top, I think 2 or 3 tiers, and that's when I am able to record video. I only record them if it's going to be able to be on YouTube. But I'm so excited to have you here. And if you have any specific interests or things that you want me to discuss, I love anything creepy, dark, macabre, oddities, hauntings, you name it, true crime. I got you. I want it to be as weird and wacky as possible. So if you have a specific interest that you want to hear about, I will dive into it and I will tell it my way. All right, crow out.